Keeping with low expectations, and despite the dead cat bounce that was episode 2, I'm pleased I adhered to my own advice. Episode 3 is a tough watch. That isn't to say there's nothing of note to appreciate. Once again, there are a few moments that work rather well here. However, and sadly they remain scattered throughout, there's simply no semblance of consistency nor momentum, and it leaves me to ask the question, does any of this matter?
No, and I don't care.
We begin with the Númenóreans, specifically with Isildur's horse, Beric. Having encountered some orcs in search, we receive a sloppy piece of foreshadowing I'm certain to hate.
No, let him go. Out there's the Black Forest. Nothing comes out of there alive.
Beric discovers Isildur wrapped within webs, inside a cave, and at the mercy of many spiders, presumably of Shelob's spawn.
Question.
When we last saw Isildur, he was presumed lost beneath the burning rubble in wake of Mount Doom's eruption. How did he survive?
Question.
Accepting that he survived, how did he find himself inside this cave?
Question.
He's barely conscious. Did he wander inside the cave himself, or was he taken there by spiders or orcs?
Okay, question.
How long has he been bound there? Did the spiders, including the large one, simply forget him?
Question.
Was this spider saving him for a special occasion?
Question.
How is he so unscathed? No charring or serious burns, barely a scratch. Wait, I just remembered something.
I don't care anymore. I'm joking. I never did.
And that is a significant problem with this ill-advised cliffhanger. Spoilers, but unless this is an imposter, we know Isildur survives to the point even a while after Sauron's defeat during the Second Age and through the Last Alliance. That we are receiving a poor piece of fan service to remind us of the claustrophobic and horrifying Shelob's lair from The Return of the King is frankly pathetic. Isildur then wrestles with an orc he at first assumed was deceased. Shelob Jr. then emerges. Seriously, this show never ceases to serve derivative slop, expecting the viewer to just gobble it up without complaint. I thought Rogue One was bad, or even The Force Awakens as a soft reboot of A New Hope, but this is taking it to a whole new level. You needn't blink to see how these two nincompoops have been inspired by their mentor J.J. Abrams. Lazy is as lazy does. Just one unique and interesting idea. I dare you. Come up with something remotely original, or not unquestionably worse than what has come before. This is such shit.
You speak so freely of dead kings, yet you refuse to utter your own son's name.
Wow, that's notably nasty and insensitive. Granted, she does then proceed to advise Elendil here not to blame himself, rather that the burden of his son's death should weigh on the shoulders of the Queen Regent. Honestly, I find it difficult to disagree with her, considering the disaster that was the Númenórean expedition from Season 1. The blind Queen Regent Muriel surfaces. She has Elendil inform her of a northern noble having Pharazôn's ear, and so begins the clash over who shall next ascend the throne.
Queen Regent, is this how we repay our fallen?
The blind queen is then bitch-slapped by a grieving mother.
Oh, wow! Wow!
If you didn't happen to miss it through this melodrama, Moob armor is also back in its brilliant form. There should be a coup d'etat simply to rid themselves of that abomination they call armor. Having been assaulted, Queen Regent embraces and sheds tears. Do I feel anything? Even a slither of sadness?
I don't care.
The Queen Regent has had to date the personality and the presence of a styrofoam cup. Further, and objectively speaking, what was it that her grand adventure to Middle-earth achieved? It is understandable that there would be dissent, and those that would seek to overthrow her ascension to the throne. We then have the desperate efforts to repurpose Game of Thrones through Pharazôn and Muriel here. Who shall become the ruler of Númenor? Is it intended we side with Muriel? Presumably we're still meant to see Pharazôn as the villain.
I don't care.
There hasn't been anything earned between this pairing of empty vessels, and they have had an entire season already to leave some form of an impression. Yes, I'm coming across as more bitter than usual. That opening with Isildur and the spiders was just so ridiculous. Do the creators really think the average punter that stupid? You were nearly chosen to rule in her stead. Much of this land still believes that yours the better claim. Valandil overhears their treasonous discussion to have Pharazôn usurp the throne.
I thought guild folk kept to the more fashionable parts of town. What are you doing in the old quarter?
Ah yes, let us present an illustration of the class struggle, the bourgeois versus the proletariat, delivered with all the subtlety of, well, this scene from Season 1.
Guard jobs! Yeah, they're down! They're down! They did! Like the guard jobs!
He then leaps to the Queen Regent's defence.
I bled with the Queen on the battlefield. You speak ill of the Queen again. It will be you who suffers an infirmity. Have I made myself plain, or do we settle this through other means?
Yes, if you showcase your own resentment and bitter feelings toward the ruler that led a failed expedition to a foreign land, and which resulted in noteworthy casualties, well, Valendil here will take offence and issue threats of physical harm. Does this make the viewer like Valendil? Does this make him remotely endearing? It just makes this character come across as an intolerant and petty thug. Is that the intention? Presumably we're supposed to side with him and with the Queen Regent, but to date he has proven nothing more than a mumbling and monotone void also. Is there anyone here present who's even slightly likeable or relatable?
There never was much hope. Just a fool's hope.
A fool's hope indeed. Even Isildur's sister, Ariaron? Isildur's sister, and no, she's proven persistently forgettable also, then notes she found something secret, something dangerous, something forbidden.
Is it secret? Is it safe?
Back with the orcs.
We're safe here. We have a home. Must we go back to war again?
We have now become World of Warcraft. If you want to make a World of Warcraft show, obtain the rights, and make a World of Warcraft show. Tolkien's world building, while possessing of religious undertones, had interest in the exploration of good and evil. This either showcases the creators do not understand Tolkien's work, like at all, or blatantly dislike it. In Eregion, we receive discussion over the prospect of forging rings for dwarven lords.
They shall be rings of power, power to heal your mountain, just as they have healed our great tree. We summoned you here to help you. Bringing your father away to save his kingdom might be just the way to earn back his respect, even your inheritance.
I'm sorry, who exactly are you?
A fair question, and I appreciate the skeptical nature of Prince Durin upon his meeting with this Anatar, this blonde Hellbrand, Sauron, whatever.
Elrond said that you were the wisest of all the dwarves. Did he speak true, or is there someone else we should be treating with?
I'm uncertain this is the greatest sales pitch, and it would seem that Celebrimbor would also agree, providing the dwarves with time to consider their proposal. Anatar, Hellbrand, Sauron, whatever then seeks to manipulate Celebrimbor, but there really isn't much conflict to speak of, nor any showcasing of clever machination. Having taken the bait, Celebrimbor begins to draft a letter of his own deception for old Gilly.
I am congratulating the High King on the efficacy of the three, and telling him that I'm closing up the forge, with a promise to join him in Lindon as soon as possible.
You would lie to your High King. While these scenes do successfully showcase how Celebrimbor and, like this show's Galadriel, pursue their own motivations and objectives with overt stubbornness and lack of consideration for any consequence, there's little presented that illustrates the Sauron as a master manipulator. He really doesn't have to do much of anything. They basically fall into their own traps created rather than anything that he has set up or established to ensnare them. The elves that he encounters exercise of similar foresight to that of a lemming. We have a scene of the dead marshes.
There are dead things. Dead faces in the water.
Isildur then comes across more dead among the remnants of a caravan, is stabbed, and meets a young woman named Estrid. Estrid then joins the party. Later, and after forced conversing to claim some interest from the viewer for these characters, they encounter a trickster who seeks to rob them, and with the Mark of Adar. With others leaping out from the caravan, ambushing Isildur and this Estrid, one steals Beric the horse and rides off.
Help. Police. Murder.
Fortunately for young Isildur, the bandits are then destroyed by an array of arrows, and of course, it is Arindir to the rescue. It was only a matter of time before this dull, legalist knockoff would resurface.
Thank you, it is Isildur, remember?
Elven memories do not dim.
We then learn of Bronwyn's fate, and as expected, since the actress elected to pursue her activism rather than to subject both us and herself to a second stint. While General Bronwyn was a terrible general to be sure, Nazin and Bonyardi and Joseph Maul's exit never boded well for this season. Once more, and with the music, we're meant to feel something.
I don't care.
Her character quickly devolved into a caricature at best that possessed of a self-righteous, boring, even horribly stupid approach to each challenge she faced. If only the same fate had also befallen the drippy, dull, and whiny Theo.
I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
Back in Khazad-dûm, things appear bleak. The food reserves volatile, his head bowed. Prince Durin approaches his father, humbling himself.
Celebrimbor claims these rings will give us the power to solve our dilemma. I felt it's my duty as a dwarf to bring you his offer. Is that all you have come to say? I was wrong to disrespect you, and I'm sorry.
This is a really solid scene. The father and son dynamic, along with Disa acting as a mediator of sorts, worked rather well during the first season, and it has not so far disappointed in the second. Theo, Isildur depart to save Beric. They encounter the wild men camp. And we have the Ents appear, and one takes off with Theo.
Stop, don't come back.
At the coronation, a dissenting voice protests, and we receive a speech from Queen Regent Muriel. It is dull, generic, stilted, and uninspiring. With the reveal of the Palantir, and some clumsy politicking from the Queen Regent, the appearance of an eagle, and the timely chanting from the Northern Noble of Pharazôn, and in favour of his ascension over the Queen Regent, mob rule ensues, and the episode mercifully comes to a close with the forging of Dwarven rings. In summary, this episode is weighed down by the pointless and lame payoff for Season 1's Isildur cliffhanger. His story, and with the surviving Southlanders, remains a chore to watch. There is promise with the dwarves, but in general this continues to be merely a bad and highly derivative show, dependent on prior offerings that were simply better in every conceivable way. I guess on to the next.